class. Today I would like to share with you Willie and the All-Stars by Floyd Cooper. While I'm reading this book, I want you to think about how you would feel if you couldn't reach your dream due to the color of your skin, or being male or female, or anything of that sort. So think of that while listening to the story. Willie lived with his grandmother in a tiny one-room apartment on the north side of Chicago. It was 1942 and nothing came easy, not even a boy's dreams. Everything Willie loved best was there in that little apartment. Grandma, their radio, and the wad of tape and string Willie used as a baseball when he played stickball in the street. It was Willie's grandmother who taught him his love for baseball. As they settled into their seats in front of the old radio, Willie would close his eyes and feel like he was at Wrigley Field, his heart pumping to the sound of the ball slamming into the mitts, sending puffs of old leather dust into the afternoon sunlight as waves of fresh-cut grass tickled his nose. Someday, he knew he would stand at home plate smashing a fastball deep into center field for a home run. Willie pretended he was playing baseball no matter what he was doing. A trip to the store quickly turned into a series of stolen bases, from the curb to the lamppost to the fire hydrant to the mailbox, until he slid safe at home without breaking an egg. Nothing made the dream feel more real than when Willie and his pals would play stickball in the street. He would hear the cheers of the fans in his head as he pretended he was Joe DiMaggio in center field or Dizzy Dean striking out batters. Major League stars were the best. Willie wanted to be the best too. One hot summer evening, Willie sat on the front stoop, listening to a gathering of old men as they spun tales of Trickley and Triumph. He clung to each word. Satchel Paige threw his first pitch so fast that they would make buzzing sounds before they'd disappear in front of home plate, said Mr. Wilson. "Aw, man, that ain't nothing," said another of the men. "I know a cat so quick he can flick off a light switch and be in bed before the room goes dark." "Cool, Papa Bell." The men, "That man is that quick." "Y'all ain't seen nothing," said old Ezra, "till you seen Josh Gibson hit. That fellow once hit a ball so high and so far, it still ain't coming down. And that's the truth." The men hooted in laughter. Willie couldn't believe his ears. "Why ain't I ever heard of these players on the radio?" he asked. "That's because they're Negro League players," said Mr. Wilson. "You mean all these players you've been talking about aren't even real major leaguers?" said Willie. "How could they be?" Old Ezra rose up from the step and looked Willie right in the eyes. "Son," he said, "being a major league ball player is about a lot more than how good a fella is. It's also about the color of his skin, and yours is the wrong color." All of a sudden, Willie felt all closed up inside, almost as if he was trapped in a box. Of course, Willie wasn't the only boy with a baseball dream. He and his good pal Sean O'Connor had spent hours after hours talking about how they were going to make it to the major leagues someday. "I'm going to smack balls over the outfield wall just like Babe," Sean would say. "You and me, Willie, we'll work hard together and play on the same team." Willie would usually laugh, but today he just dropped his head. He thought about how he and Sean couldn't sit together on the trolley, how they had to drink from separate water fountains at the park. "Old Ezra tells me I ain't ever gonna play in the majors," said Willie. Sean put his hand on Willie's shoulder. "You don't know that for sure," he said. "Old Ezra may know a lot, but he doesn't know everything." The next day they saw old Ezra standing out on the stoop, talking to some men. One of them put something into Ezra's pocket and gave him a great big hug before driving away in a fancy-looking car. As the boys walked past, old Ezra stopped Willie. "Willie!" he shouted. "Just the fellow I'm looking for. Keep your chin up and take these," he said, putting an envelope into Willie's shirt pocket. "It's time you learned a little something about baseball." Willie thanked old Ezra, looked at the envelope, and broke out into the biggest smile Sean had ever seen. "What is it?" Sean asked. Willie held up the 2 tickets from the envelope. Sean broke out into the second biggest smile he'd ever seen as he read the tickets. "Admission to an expedition baseball game between the Negro League All-Stars and the Major League All-Stars." Willie couldn't believe his ears. His eyes. He was here. He was in the place he never thought he would see. A place where men became legends. A place Willie and the kids like him could only go in their imaginations. This was Wrigley Field. Willie took it all in. He wanted to remember everything for Grandma, every little detail. He would tell her how he and Sean saw all the greats, the very ones they heard play on the radio. And then there were the Negro League players, a ragtag collection they were, in uniforms tattered and faded from too many trips up and down the back country roads, shoes softened and worn with age and memories of 2 or 3 games a day, baseball gloves patched up, tied and retied too many times. The players joked around and played in front of the dugout as they warmed up. Don't they realize who they are going to be playing? Willie wondered. There was Satchel Paige driving a nail through the post with his infamous b-ball pitch. There was Josh Gibson playing around, sending a ball so high in the sky he probably wouldn't see it till it came down at midnight. Willie and Sean saw through the leg catches and behind the back throws. The Negro Leaguers were fast and talented for sure, but could they really compete with the best? The game was tough fought to the bitter end as each team played hard to win, but from the first pitch the Negro League team seemed a bit hungrier for the victory. They stretched singles into doubles, doubles into triples, and even stole home for a score. They hit harder, ran faster, and just plain out-muscled the Major League team for the win. The crowd went wild at the display they'd just seen. The Negro League players hugged each other with joy. Then something happened that made Willie catch his breath. 2 opposing players, one from each team, found their way through the hoopla and fray and met each other face to face atop the pitcher's mound. The whooping and hollering stopped with a jolt as the crowd watched in astonishment. 2 players, one black, one white, shook hands, a nod of acknowledgement, if not acceptance, from white to black. And that was Willie and the All-Stars by Floyd Cooper. Now, I asked you before to think about what you would do if you weren't able to reach your dreams due to something you had nothing you could change about yourself. So, on a piece of paper, I would like you to write down your answers and turn it in.